Hey everybody, this is Leo Gale, your real estate advisor. Today we are going to be going over real estate investment terms and math that you should know. Let's get started. PGI, potential gross income. This is all of the income that you can expect to make at 100% occupancy of your real estate investment. So next we have EGI. This is your effective gross income. So this is basically your PGI, potential gross income, minus any vacancy or collection losses. So when it comes to your vacancy, every area is going to be different. You know, some areas it's on average about a 5% vacancy rate for the year. Other areas be an average of maybe 10% vacancy rate for the year. So it's good to know the specific vacancy rate in that area. But a good rule of thumb is just to go ahead and minus 15% from the potential gross income to find your effective gross income. So the math on your EGI is your PGI minus your vacancy or collection losses. Next is your NOI, or net operating income. You can find your NOI by taking your PGI and subtracting any operating expenses. If you can increase your NOI, you can increase the value of the property. Next, we have your cap rate. So assume that you paid all cash for your particular investment, your real estate investment. Your cap rate is basically the percentage return on that, on the value, the total value of that property. So this can be found by taking your NOI and dividing it by the value. Next, we have your LTV ratio. This is your loan to value ratio. This is the percentage of the purchase price that is being financed. And you can find this by taking the loan amount and dividing it by the value of the property. The higher the LTV ratio, the more risk you're taking. The lower the LTV ratio, the less risk you're taking. Next, we have your operating expense ratio. This is the percentage of the gross income that is being used on expenses, operating expenses. You could find this by taking your operating expenses and dividing it by your PGI. So your cash break-even ratio is the percentage of occupancy that you will need in a given year to cover your expenses, including your debt service for that year. So you can find this ratio by taking your operating expenses, subtracting the reserves, add the annual debt service, and divide that by your gross income. Let's talk about your margin of safety. So your margin of safety will relate to your cash break-even ratio. And it's basically the vacancy loss that you can take and still be okay. So let's say that your cash break-even ratio is 60%, right? Well, then your margin of safety is going to be that 40%. So you can find the margin of safety by taking 100% and subtracting your cash break-even ratio. Your before tax cash flow is the cash flow that you generate before you have to pay taxes on it. You can find this number by taking your NOI and subtracting your debt service. Now let's talk about your EDR, your equity dividend rate. You can find this number by taking your before tax cash flow and dividing it by your equity in the property. This is your cash on cash return. This is your return on your invested equity. We recently spoke about your before tax cash flow. Now we're going to talk about your after tax cash flow. So you can find your after tax cash flow by taking your NOI, subtracting your debt service, and then subtracting your taxes. Your after tax equity dividend rate. This is your EDR with taxes also being accounted for. And you could find this number by taking your after tax cash flow and dividing it by your equity in the deal. Your payback period ratio. This is the number of years that it's going to take for your invested equity to return to you. You could find this number by taking your invested equity and dividing it by your pre-tax cash flow. If you learned anything new, if you enjoyed the video, like it, comment on it, subscribe to the channel, and call me if you want to buy, sell real estate, or if you have any questions. My contact information will be below. It'll also be in the description for this video. Enjoy your day, and I'll catch you next time.